There we go. Recording there. So I am Margaret Major. I'm a registered counseling therapist here at the After Trauma Empowerment Network. And I'm joined with Vida Woodworth, who is chairperson of our board of directors and co-host. And we have Kate Matthews, our technical director. And we're going to be with you for the next hour. We're going to talk about Mental Health Week this week. The Canadian Mental Health Association recognizes the first week of May as Mental Health Week. So we're just going to talk about that campaign awareness a little bit. We are going to talk about how to help or support someone if they disclose to you that they've experienced sexual abuse or sexual assault. And we're also going to draw attention to today is May 5th, and this is an awareness day for murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls and two-spirited individuals. So we want to draw attention to that as well. And as you can see behind me, we do have our red dress just to acknowledge that. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. So to start, Vida, and you or your finger puppet can answer, how are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. I'll probably wait and introduce the finger puppet at a later point this evening.
Okay. Yes.
But no, I'm having a good week and looking forward to our discussion this evening.
Yes, and I know we're going to run out of time already. So first, I would like to do my diversity welcome. I actually didn't write this diversity welcome. I don't know who the author of this lovely piece is. If anybody happens to watch this video and they do know the author, please email that name to me so I can give that person the credit they deserve. So first, I would like to welcome all women, men, transgender, and other identified people here today. I'd like to welcome everyone here who is a mother, father, sister, brother, auntie, uncle, cousin, son, daughter, grandmother, grandfather. Welcome. I welcome people of all races, tribes, and descents. I welcome your bodies, your minds, and your energy. I welcome survivors and those who support them. I welcome those in their teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and over. I welcome all people single, married, partnered, dating, celibate, or involved in whatever sort of relationship is right for you. Welcome. I welcome gay, lesbian, bisexual, heterosexual, queer, two-spirited, asexual, and others for whom none of the current labels fit. Welcome. I welcome your emotions, your joy, your bliss, grief, rage, hope, frustration, sadness, and disappointment. I welcome everyone's special way of understanding and knowing the world, everyone's wisdom, whether it is education that has been learned in schools, colleges, universities, and/or the deep and profound school of life. Welcome. I welcome your families, genetic and otherwise, our networks of family and friends who make our lives easier, happier, and gentler to be. I welcome mystics, seekers, and believers of all kinds. I welcome people who identify as activists, community leaders, musicians, artists, group members, and those who don't. And finally, I'd like to welcome the ancestors who lived in this land where we are now. Welcome the spirits of Mi'kmaq, the natives who lived in this area before the Europeans came. I'd like to acknowledge and invite their spirits to this space. Everyone, welcome, and thank you for being here. Okay, So today, I'm not sure which topic we should start with, Vida. Maybe we'll talk just for a few minutes about Mental Health Week. We'll start there.
All right.
And I know last week I had mentioned that Scott Oshavik was going to be joining us, but Scott was unable to join us, and he has promised that he will join us at a later date. So it's just going to be Vida and I. So we're holding the fort now. I think we can handle it, Vida.
I hope so.
Okay, so just a little bit about Mental Health Week. This is something that started 70 years ago by the Canadian Mental Health Association. And it's the first week of May, and that is set aside to raise awareness about our mental health and well-being. And the theme this year is understanding your emotions. So it's name your emotion, don't numb it. Name it, don't numb it. When it comes to mental health, I think some people have a belief that to be a healthy person with healthy mental health, you're in a good mood all the time. And that's not what good mental health means. We are human beings who experience a wide array of emotions. We get angry, we get pissed off, we get sad, we experience grief when we've had a loss. Loss happens continuously in our life. Everybody experiences loss in different capacities. Often loss, we can't predict when loss is going to happen. We feel happy or joy or contentment. And those emotions can be really uncomfortable for some people to be present with. For some people who experience depression, feeling a moment of peace can feel almost scary for some people. And the focus, like this week, being on being able to identify your emotions. I mean, as a therapist, that's something that I work with clients is helping them to identify what emotion they do have happening in them right now. I mean, I remember in my own life sitting in that therapist chair years ago and her asking me how I felt. And I remember giving her all these great words, and I thought I was giving a great answer. And she repeated the question, "No, Margaret, how do you feel?" And I remember getting so frustrated and like clenching the arms of the chair because I couldn't understand what she was asking. I thought I was giving her a great answer about how I felt. And now I understand I wasn't connecting with my feelings at all. At all. I wasn't. We feel in our torso. That's where we feel. Emotions happen in our entire self. When we feel angry, we can feel that in our whole body. Sadness, we feel that in our heart. Our heart can actually be affected, and we feel sadness in our whole body. Just like joy and happiness and contentment, you can experience that in your whole body. Emotions can be uncomfortable. Anger, especially for some people, can be very, very uncomfortable to be present with. There's a lot of energy in anger. And anger is not a bad emotion. Of course, how we respond to anger and what we do with our anger is the important part, because we can be constructive with our anger or we could be destructive with our anger. Whether we're being destructive with ourselves or with the people around us, with our relationships, with our family, maybe our workplace. Learning how to be present with your anger, express your anger, and deal with your anger in a healthy way is really important. And you can learn strategies to deal with your anger. Sadness is again a difficult emotion for some people to experience. some people may have had a loss years ago, and they don't necessarily even start the grieving process until years later, when maybe they're in a safer place in their life. When the original loss happened, it may not have been safe for some people to start, or even have the environment to be able to grieve. And sadness carries an important message. Sadness is connected with caring. And it's almost like sadness is the evidence that you care. And when you lose something, whether it's a relationship, it's a person, it's a pet, a job, a promotion, I mean, a home that you really, really wanted. Loss happens in many ways in people's lives on a daily basis. But being able to, when you do feel sadness, or any emotion for that matter, being able to honor those feelings is very important. They don't just evaporate and go away when you have like sadness and you try to ignore it or numb it out or escape it, which that can be healthy in some circumstances, but habitually numbing out or escaping is not healthy, and it's not helpful for your well-being. But honoring our emotions, our feelings, is very important in honoring ourselves. We have those emotions, those responses there for a reason. And there's support that you can get to help you to learn how to recognize what you are even feeling, to be able to develop strategies or coping skills for yourself to be able to cope with those emotional states. Because part of the human experience is a wide array of human emotion. And that's what makes us human. And it's amazing. Even though some emotions are incredibly difficult to be with, to allow ourselves to experience, it can be a learning process as well in getting to know who you are, where are your emotions, where you feel your emotions, where they happen for you, what certain triggers you might have to certain emotions. I'm just going to see if Ida might have something that she wants to contribute.
I was just thinking as you were talking, for me, when I get angry, I cry. And the angrier I am, the more I cry. And when that happens, I then get frustrated because I can't express my anger when I'm crying. And it also maybe is not sending the right message. If I'm crying, that person may not realize that I'm angry. They may think I'm sad or that I'm hurt. And so when that happens, my first response is to just try and end the situation, either by, leaving the room or asking, if we can talk about this at another time. And so I at first, when I was young, found it confusing. If I'm angry, why am I crying? And so I guess I've realized that a lot of times it takes me a long time to get really angry, and it kind of percolates and percolates. And then when I finally start to feel my anger, it has gotten to an intensity that it comes out as crying. And so for me, I need to learn how to recognize sooner that anger is present and that it is building, and perhaps find ways that I can express my anger or cope with my anger that don't allow me to get to that extreme. And it may allow me to then talk about my anger to someone else in a more productive way. So, you know, it's interesting when I look back over the years, you know, how people would say, "Oh, you've never been a person that's been angry a lot," or "I don't remember you ever being angry."
Yeah.
And I remember being angry about stuff, but because I stuffed it inside, a lot of times people didn't know, or because I cried, they may have thought I was experiencing something completely different.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so when you say you need to learn the language to talk about your feelings and learn, you know, sort of what feelings are called, or um, you know, what to talk about, how to talk about them when you're feeling them, I think is important, because we often misread other things, like other body language, like crying isn't
Yeah.
always attributed to anger. Um, so yeah, I do think we need, if we can, to find opportunities to sort of explore feelings and how we feel physically, emotionally, and so on when they are happening to us, but also to recognize that other people may uh, feel them and experience them differently than you do.
Yeah. 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 That's important
Mm,
too. That
yeah,
yeah, we don't necessarily all experience sadness the same way.
no,
And
no,
how we cope with it is different too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you for sharing that one.
yeah. You're welcome.
I just need to look at my sheet to make sure that I'm not forgetting something that I wrote down. Oh, so the Canadian Mental Health Association, CMHA Colchester East Hants branch, I only learned about this yesterday. Uh, as part of Mental Health Week, they're having a online event featuring Theo Fleury, so NHL All-Star and author. I believe he's authored two books.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's Walk Tall for Men's Mental Health. So it's a show featuring a talk on men and their mental health. And you can go to the CMHA website and search Theo Fleury, and you'll find it that way. I found it on Facebook, so you could search Facebook too, and you do have to pre-register to be able to attend this event. So just in case you or maybe someone that you know might be interested in checking out Theo's talk on men's mental health, that's how you can do that. I plan on attending. I look forward to hearing what Theo has to say. He's got a lot of wisdom from his life experiences. Yes,
And is that tomorrow night, Margaret?
that's tomorrow night. Yes, yes,
And
at
it's a
6.
virtual event?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Starts
Cool.
at 7 o'clock tomorrow. I don't know how long it goes. They didn't have an end time, but I'll sit for a few hours. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah,
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 sounds good to me.
yeah.
And I think,
Interesting.
mm, yes, that's all the notes that I have on this mental health week.
Mm,
Although mental health is incredibly important every day of the year, but this is an important week to help highlight important aspects of mental health.
yeah.
So thank you to CMHA for creating this awareness week and having this discussion and information and resources. They do have a 2021 toolkit on their website if you are interested in checking that out on the CMHA website. Okay, is it finger puppet time yet?
Oh, I don't know. My finger puppet is still sleeping.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay. So now I think maybe we will talk about how to support someone. who comes to you who's made a disclosure, if that fit
Yeah.
in your agenda. Okay. And for anybody watching live with us, if you have any comments or questions, there's the chat button down below. Don't send me a direct message because I can't stop and read it. But Kate, our technical director over there, she's paying attention to any questions or comments that come in. So feel free to do that if you like. And please, if you're watching this on YouTube or you do watch it on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, please, and like. Okay, so my actually Vida and I both have a lot of experience working at a sexual assault center. Vida worked at the Sexual Assault Center, Colchester Sexual Assault Center for 13 years, and I worked there for 10 years. And we've had calls from people who've had a friend or a partner or a family member or a colleague disclose to them that they have experienced sexualized assault or violence. And the calls that we would get from those supporters was, what do I say? What do I do? I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't know what to do. What do I do with the feelings I'm having? Because I want to go kill this SOB who did this to my person. And those are all normal responses. So this information is, we hope, will be helpful for anyone who has that time when someone comes to you and they disclose that something has happened to them. These will be some helpful suggestions on how you can navigate through that perhaps very difficult moment or situation, because it can be very, very difficult to hear that somebody that you care for has been hurt or harmed or had violence against them. It's normal to get upset about that. And an important part about somebody making a disclosure to you is, if it does bring up intense emotion for you to find a person for you to discharge that emotion and that energy to, not to the person who's just made the disclosure to you. They will take it personally and they will think that it's their fault that you're upset. So, and it's important that you honor how you feel. Again, back to feelings and emotions. If you're angry, find someone that you can talk to about that you feel safe with and you trust. Don't take it out on the person who made the disclosure to you. It will be hurtful for them. And I've heard it's a normal response to want to retaliate against somebody who's hurt somebody that you love or care for. That's a normal reaction, but we don't respond that way. And I've heard from a lot more survivors of sexualized violence that when they did disclose to somebody and that person retaliated, that hurt them worse than the assault that they experienced. That's why it's not helpful to retaliate. It's not helpful to say, I'm going to go kill this son of a bitch who did this to you. That puts pressure and stress on the survivor, and it's not helpful to them in any way. It might be helpful for you in that moment to discharge that energy, but you're not being helpful to the person you care for. So that's one very, very important part about when somebody makes a disclosure to you, is the emotion that comes up for you, that's yours, and don't take that out on the person who made the disclosure to you.
And Margaret, I was just thinking as you were talking, it's also really important to remember our body language at a time like that.
Yes.
Sometimes we consciously are thinking about the words we're saying and not trying to be hurtful, but our body language could be communicating something very different. And, you know, if you're appearing to be defensive or upset because of the way you're holding your body, the person may think that you're trying to hide that from them. So I know you're saying you're not mad at me, but I can tell you are.
Yeah.
And so again, just trying to be really aware of your emotions, how they affect you, and how you might express them in ways other than with your language. So, you know, when you're sad, is there something that you do that would be obvious to someone else? Or when you're angry, or whatever the emotion might be? And I know it's a lot to think about, or it seems to be a lot to think about, but sometimes just taking that second to take a breath and just center yourself and, okay, this isn't about me right now. This is about listening to what this person is going to tell me, and then helping that person decide what they might want to do as a result of that. So, you know, again, body language often tells more than our words.
Yeah, excellent point, Vida. Thank you. Thank you for adding that. Yeah. Don't criticize or blame. One of the most helpful things, and I know Vida's going to have some to add to this as well. One of the most helpful things that you can say to somebody is, "I believe you. I believe you." That's one of the most important things, the most helpful things that you could say to someone who discloses to you.
Yeah.
Social research has shown that social responses, so the response that a person gets when they do make a disclosure, and it takes a lot of courage for someone to disclose that to somebody. That is very privileged information when somebody does share that, and please respect and honor that as well. Now, I do need to put a disclaimer in here that it is illegal if you are aware that somebody under the age of 16 is being physically, sexually abused or neglected. It is illegal to not report that to Child Protection Service. That's very important. It is illegal for everybody. Me as a professional therapist, especially, but for everyone, you need to report if you know that abuse is happening to someone under the age of 16. It's under 18 if it's a family member. Belief, yes. Research has shown that social responses can be more harmful than the actual assault or violence that a person experiences. If somebody discloses to another person and that person says, "Oh, that person wouldn't do that. I know them. They wouldn't behave. They wouldn't do something like that." That's one of the worst things you can say. One of the worst things you could say. Yeah.
Anything that blames the victim in some way for what has happened. And, you know, saying that person's too nice is one thing. Asking them, you know, did you do anything to cause it to happen? Were you wearing that dress when it happened? Have you had sex with this person before and maybe they thought you were okay now? There's many
Were you
ways.
drunk?
Yeah.
Were you drunk?
And yeah, if you're drinking or intoxicated in some way, but the reality is the only person responsible when sexual violence happens is the person who is doing the forcing or who is making the person do whatever it is that they're doing. And often the person who is forcing is taking advantage of another person and or a situation that is allowing them to be able to force the act to happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, every situation that happens is individual. And again, one of the biggest reasons people don't tell when they've been sexually assaulted is because they're afraid they won't be believed.
Right.
And the other statistic that we know is that in most cases, when sexual assaults happen, at the very best, only around 10% of people will report it, either to a professional or the police. 90% of the time, they don't report it, or they wait and they report it months, years, decades later, or they may never tell anybody.
Yeah.
So again, nobody's going to believe me. That person's too nice. I deserved it. I did this, I did that. And again, you know, self-blame and the fear of not being believed. So when somebody comes to you and says that this has happened, if you can just remember to let them know as many times as you can, I believe you. I believe you. And even if other people don't believe you, I believe you. And we're going to work together to figure out what it is that you're ready to do, if anything, right now.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And that leads into another important part of supporting someone is not getting on the, you know, your what do you call that, soapbox, and
Yeah.
preaching and telling a
Yeah.
person what they need to do.
Yeah.
You need to allow them the space to decide what is best for them at that time. That's a person they've already had their power and control taken away, and they need to start reclaiming that back. And that starts with them deciding whether they're going to talk to someone, who they're going to tell, when they're going to tell, what they're going to tell. That's all the survivors' right and responsibilities. And don't preach. Don't get up and be demanding, you need to report this, you need to do this, you need to. That's not helpful.
No.
That might even create a distance between you and that person.
Yeah. And you're taking their power away again.
You
You're
are.
telling them, you don't know what to do. I'm going to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And so that just keeps them in that place where they feel powerless.
Right.
And as soon as you can do anything that can help them feel like they have some power back, you are already helping them on their process or their journey to healing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it happened, but you are still the person that gets to decide what you want to do about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do listen. So advice I give is talk less and listen more. Just give them the space to share what they want to share with you. Don't get on the box and be preaching. Just listen.
Yeah. And give space. Sometimes as a listener, we panic when the other person stops talking. And we think, okay, we have to fill the air.
Right.
But sometimes that person is using that silence to really think about what they want to say, or think about how they're feeling, or think about, what questions they might have to ask you. So silence is sometimes, and a lot of times, really helpful to, allow that person to feel like you're there to listen to them, and you're not going to try and make this happen quickly if they're not ready to go quickly.
Yeah. That's all great stuff.
Yeah.
So important. Don't oversimplify. Don't just, well, this is what we're going to do and it's all going to go away and be better.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. If somebody, and as Vida mentioned, like 9 out of 10 people will not report to police after sexual assault. And if somebody does choose to report, that process can take anywhere from 2 to 3 years to go through investigation and then to go through the court and criminal justice program or system, I guess, system. And that's a long time. I've heard from a lot of clients that I've worked with who have been involved in criminal cases where it feels like their life is on hold while that court case, because it's like they try to move on and then it's like, oh yeah, I've got that court date coming up in September. Oh yeah, what's going to happen? And so it's a whole thing to learn how to cope with dealing with navigating through the criminal justice system if somebody does choose to report. But as Vida mentioned, and as research has shown, most people will never report. They just will not.
Yeah, and even when they do report, it's a very small percentage of cases that go past the reporting stage to the investigation stage and then to
Quite small.
the Crown. Yeah, it's like, okay, so 10 out of 100 will report, and out of those 10, maybe 2 of those will get to the stage where the Crown is decided that there may be charges laid.
Yeah.
And then, of course, then there may be, depending on the kind of assault and the particular pieces of the criminal code that are being used, that may mean that there could be a preliminary trial that needs to happen, and then a trial, or it could be that it all goes to trial at once. And so there's a lot to understand. And immediately after a sexual assault, somebody may want to know, what if I reported to the police? They may want to know that information, but it is a lot of information, and there will be times later on where that person can either talk to you again or talk to someone in the justice system that can help them understand that process better. And usually if they ask for it, they can have support throughout the whole process. So don't feel as the listener or the supporter that you have to answer every question this first time. And also, I think it's important to be honest about the justice system. Sometimes people will end up, it'll go to court and there'll be a trial. And whether or not that person is found guilty isn't what was important. It was the process and the fact that the victim or the person who was hurt has a chance to tell their story and for people to listen and to hear it. Sometimes, if a person thinks, okay, it's going to go to court, so there's going to be a conviction. And if there isn't a conviction, it can be very devastating and very disappointing, because that person may think, oh, well, they must all think I'm lying because they didn't get convicted. And an acquittal or not being convicted doesn't mean that it didn't happen necessarily. What it means is there wasn't enough evidence in a criminal court for it to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
And so that's the burden of proof that has to be proven at a time like that, because sexual assault is a very serious crime. And if there's any doubt, then either the judge or the judge and the jury would be forced under the directions to acquit the person or to find them not guilty. And a lot of times people will walk away, just the general public, and look at the case and say, oh, wow, they were found not guilty, so she was lying or he was lying about what happened. And that isn't the case in most times. No. And I think that's important to remember. So deciding if you want to make a report to the police and if you want to go through the court system, it's an option, but it's something that the person really should have time to really think about it. And maybe there are other things that they could do that don't involve the justice system that will allow them to move on and to heal. And at that time, that person is what's most important. So making sure that whatever you support them in doing and whatever they decide, that they are going to do something for themselves, not because somebody else told them to, or because they think they have to do it.
Yeah.
Again, don't force them. Allow the person to make that decision. Again, it helps them to feel like they have more power back in their lives.
Yeah, it's empowering is what
Yes.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't take control. Again, they've already had their power and control taken from them. So
Yeah.
allow them to have control. It is
Yes.
their life.
And a lot of times they'll say, tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to resist that.
Yeah.
But it's also hard because you really don't know everything and you're not in the best position to do that. So helping them understand why it's important that they make the decisions about
Yes.
what they want to do.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Do try to help them feel safe. Ask them what you might be able to say or do to help them feel safe. You can't force safety,
Mhm.
but just asking what if there's something that you can do or say to help them feel safe.
Yeah.
That's just a check-in question.
Yeah.
Do
Sometimes,
go ahead.
sorry. I was just going to say sometimes people will ask for things as simple as, can I have a bottle of water?
Yeah.
Can I, could you ask if we could have a female do the interview questions? It's not always possible, especially in rural areas of this country. You don't always have large police forces and people who are able to do the interviews and the questioning, but you can always ask. And even just for that person to know they were heard, they asked, we're sorry, there isn't anyone available at this moment. If you want, we can wait and find a person, or do you want to try and go ahead and see how it goes? But again, it's up to them. If they say, no, I want it to be a woman, they can say, I'm going to wait till there's a woman. And it may be inconvenient, but that's not what this is about. It's about doing what's right for the person who's been hurt. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Do respect their physical, emotional, and sexual boundaries. So somebody who has experienced sexualized assault or have been violated may not want any touch at all. They might not want a hug. Hug could be triggering for them. They might not want a hand on their shoulder. It's so just check in with the person you're supporting. You can ask if they would like a hug. If they ask you, then you can assess yourself. If you're in that space of giving a hug, then go for it. But don't just assume that it's okay to give them a hug, that they might want a hug from you.
Mhm.
Because sexual assault can affect everybody in a different way. There's some myths out there that if somebody's been sexually assaulted, that they won't want to engage in sexual contact or sexual activity, and that is different for everybody. Some people cannot want any sexual contact. For some people, there might not be any change at all, and for some people, they may participate in more sexual contact or activity. It's not a one answer here. Everybody responds differently. But if it's your partner, do not. Well, even if there isn't a disclosure, don't pressure your partner for sex. As simple as that.
Yeah.
No partner should pressure any partner.
Yeah.
And boundaries are so important. I know Vida and I are going to do more talks on boundaries, because boundaries are what keep us safe. And we have a right to set boundaries. So I'm not sure when we'll talk about boundaries, but we will have a great discussion about boundaries. Even sitting beside someone, your knees could be touching. That could be upsetting or triggering for the person you're supporting when they're making a disclosure. So it's just check in and ask, is this okay? Would you like me to sit over here? Is this comfortable? Don't just be putting your hands on anybody.
Yeah.
Mm.
There was a woman I met one time. She came in the office and we started to talk. She was wanting to find out information for herself. And I noticed that she seemed to be uncomfortable. She was kind of squirming in her chair. And so I said to her, you know, is everything okay? Well, yeah. And she said, I'm just not comfortable. And I said, well, is there anything that I can do to help you feel more comfortable? Do you need another chair? Do you whatever? And finally, she just looked at me and she said, I'm really sorry because it's got nothing to do with you. She said, but the person who abused me has the same colored eyes as you do. And when I look at you, it
Oh,
just reminds me of everything. And she said, I'm really sorry. And I said, it's not your fault. And it's not my fault. But,
yeah,
you know, there was another woman who works here and she will check and see, make sure she's not got the same color eyes. And then she was able to talk to that woman without any problem.
yeah,
And, you know, so sometimes that safety can be something you maybe don't expect. Or, and again, you know, she
yeah,
kept apologizing. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And it wasn't her fault. And I didn't take it personally. That was something that was a trigger. And then we found a way to work around it. So again, not just your body language, but paying attention to their body language and what that might be
yeah,
telling you is important as well.
right, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Don't speak for them. Allow them to speak for themselves. They will find their voice. Do not speak for them. Don't take their power away again.
yeah, yeah. And never
Do
agree to speak for them. You know, sometimes they'll say,
yes,
oh, well, you go in and tell them what I told you.
yes,
You can't do that. Well, you could, but it's not going to work. So
yeah,
yeah,
and it's not going to be that helpful either.
no, no.
No. Definitely encourage a medical checkup.
Mhm.
Injuries can happen. There's STIs. Just encourage a medical checkup if somebody discloses to you, even if the assault was a year ago. Encourage a medical checkup. If the assault happened, I think, is it within 72 hours? See,
Yes.
I think they changed. I'm not sure. Some places it may be up a little bit, but in order to have a forensic exam or a rape kit done, it has to be done within 72 hours of when the assault happened. And it's best that the person not shower, bring the clothes that they had on. This exam is very, very intrusive. It can last for hours, but it is performed, and it's actually last year was when Colchester East Hants actually obtained SANES. We, up until that point, up until last year, if a person experienced sexual assault in Colchester East Hants, they had to go to New Glasgow or Halifax Metro HRM to have a forensic exam done. And now that service, thankfully, is available in Truro. And it's done by, so the personnel is, they're called SANE, and that's a sexual assault nurse examiner. And they are highly trained to do this type of intrusive, very, very intrusive exam.
Difficult.
Very difficult. Very,
Yeah.
very difficult.
Yeah.
Yes. And if And if somebody discloses to you that like just happened a day ago that they experienced this, don't force them or make them go and have a forensic exam done. It's most helpful to give a person all the information that you can and allow them to make the best informed decision for them at that time, not taking their power away, allowing them to decide what they're going to do.
Mm.
And be real in that, be real with yourself in that if you're not able to support in a way that they might need you to, be able to be clear with that and honor yourself at the same time. Sometimes when a disclosure is made, it can be triggering for the person that the disclosure is being made to. And that may bring up your own stuff. And that may prevent you from being able to be a helpful support for the person who's making the disclosure to you. And it's absolutely okay and understandable for you to say, I may not be able to help you in the way that you need me to right now. Can we work together to find someone who can support you with what you need right now? Because I'm not able to. All human beings, we all have limitations. There's been people that I've met where I've had to have that difficult conversation of, I'm not able to continue working with you because, and like Vida shared with her example about the color of her eyes. It's not like it's anybody's fault or we need to be angry about these things. It's just about being real. It's about acknowledging what our own limitations are, what we're capable of and what we're not capable of. And that makes us human. So do encourage a medical checkup. Encourage. Don't direct your anger at them. You need to find your own support person that you can take that and vent and express all that intense emotion that you might be experiencing because you're hurt and angry. Not with the survivor. Don't blame yourself. Some human beings have a very clever way of blaming themselves. Survivors often blame themselves. And I have had partners who have somehow blamed themselves. And it's like Vida said, when a sexual assault happens, the responsibility is on the person who did not obtain consent or used force. That's where the responsibility lies, not on the person who was assaulted. 2 important points. We're almost out of time. Don't expect too much of yourself. Do not expect too much of yourself. And do practice your self-care. It can be very upsetting. It can be heavy. It can be very difficult to hear that someone that you care about has been hurt and someone has violated them. That can even be traumatizing for you as well, depending on your relationship with this person. Do practice your own self-care. If you need to talk to a professional to help you kind of process and deal with this, then do that. You have a right, just like survivors. And the best gift that you can give the survivor is taking care of yourself. Living well, being well. Anything on that note, Vida?
No, I guess a lot of times people are afraid that they're going to say and do something wrong.
Yeah.
And, we've gone through quite a few pieces of information. The big thing is if the person has come to you and has asked to talk to you about this, you've already done things that are right because they didn't just randomly choose you. They probably have been watching you. They know whether you're the kind of person, that they can trust even a little bit. They know, they've heard you say things when somebody has been judgmental about someone else. They've said, corrected that. So the person, you've shown them in some way that you are possibly someone safe they can talk to. And then the other parts are just listen and allow that person to say what they need to say, and give them whatever information that you may have, or help them find that information. And if you do that, years and years later, people will say, the person I talked to didn't, they were really a really good listener, and they believed me, and nothing changed a whole lot, even though, it was reported. But what really mattered to me the most was the fact that they believed me.
Yes.
And I knew that there was someone that believed me in the world, and that was what really got them through. So, all the other stuff was neither here nor there, but the believing part was so important. And I think just know your limits. When we talked about boundaries earlier, don't promise that you can do something that you can't do. I'll be there every time you want to go to talk to the police. You may not be able to promise that, because things may happen. So just be careful about what you promise or what you say you can do. And if you're not sure, say you're not sure. I'm not sure if I can help with that, but I can find out. So make sure that you're careful in with the emotions that are happening, and not wanting to fix it right away. Just make sure that you don't get into those situations.
Yeah. All right. We have 2 minutes, Vida.
2 minutes. Yeah. So, I don't know if we want to introduce our finger puppets. Just Margaret and I.
Well, this is mine for now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. Right. Kara, well, we're going to be doing a series of TikTok videos, I guess, with another group of young women from the community. And we want to help people understand information just about life in general and relationships. And so we've decided as a group that we're going to do these presentations using finger puppets. And so we have a whole cast of finger puppets who will be presenting TikToks probably at least once a week for the next few weeks coming. And we have one already. If you look for TikTok Town on TikTok, you'll see our first sort of introductory message from TikTok Town Tiger. And I see Margaret has her friend with her there. And who is this, Margaret?
This is Bronx.
Oh, Bronx. So Bronx is one of our characters, and we have a whole series of characters that you'll be interested in learning more about. And they will have some really helpful information for you. So
red flags.
Yes, we're going to have some humor in our TikToks. Definitely. And but also some good basic information, and we're definitely going to help people figure out, if they don't already know, what a red flag is. So anyway, nice to meet everybody here tonight. And if you want to check out TikTok and look for TikTok Town, you'll find us there. Have a good night.
Well, I'm going to say that yes, we're going to conclude. However, I'm still going to do a little guided meditation. So it is 7 o'clock. I realize that will take us over. But for anyone who wants to hang out for just a couple of more minutes and do the loving kindness meditation, please do so. Otherwise, I thank you all for joining us. I thank you for watching. And again, please email any questions, comments, topics you would like for us to explore or discuss, we're open to that, please. And be well, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and live well, be safe. Okay. So for the next couple of minutes, your only responsibility is just to listen to me for another minute. So just find a comfortable position. You can sit or lie down. Just be comfortable. Put all your stresses and worries on the shelf for the next couple of minutes. And they'll be there waiting for you on your hand. Just allow your breathing just to be natural. You don't need to count, do anything. Just allow your breathing to be natural. And if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, please do so. If you're not comfortable closing your eyes, just find something to fix your stare on. Just hearing the sounds in your space. Be there. As you continue to breathe slowly, begin to feel any tension start to drain away from you. Feel any tension drain away from your eyes, your face, through your neck, your shoulders, and down your arms. Feel any tension drain like a liquid down through your body and out through your toes. Now begin to feel your body fill up with love. Imagine a loving white light entering your feet, traveling up through your body, up to your stomach, your chest, and your arms. Feel it almost bursting through your heart, your fingers, and through the crown of your head. When you feel embraced in that love, silently repeat the following words. May I be free from all harm. May I be safe and protected. May I be free from all suffering. May I be happy. May I be free from all disease and physical pain. May I be healthy and strong. And may I be able to live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and with ease. Now think of someone that you love dearly. Partner, friend, family member. See this person in your mind's eye. Send loving thoughts to that person and silently repeat the following statements. May you be free from all harm. May you be safe and protected. May you be free from all suffering. May you be happy. May you be free from all disease and physical pain. May you be healthy and strong. And may you be able to live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and with ease. Now think of the world, this huge planet with all its living creatures. Continue to feel that love in your heart as you silently say, may all beings be free from all harm. May all beings be safe and protected. May all beings be free from all suffering. May they be happy. May all beings be free from all disease and physical pain. May they be healthy and strong. And may all beings be able to live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and with ease. Send your love as far out around the world as possible. And just imagine that energy traveling through the earth. Feel that love centered around your heart. Feel yourself in this present moment, in the now, feeling your feet on the floor. Carry this feeling with you through the rest of your day, reconnecting with it when you need to. And when you are ready, you may slowly open your eyes. Okay. There we go.
That's it.
Thank you, Emmett, Leanne, and Paul, and Tabitha for hanging out and doing this meditation with us. Thank you for participating, and hopefully you'll be back next week. Next week we have Avalon Moore joining us. She is a registered counseling therapist like myself. With the exception, she's an incredible artist, and she is bornonaTuesday.com. And she's going to join us and talk about her awesome artwork, and we'll go from there. I would like for just a moment to have a moment of silence in recognition of the red dress, murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls and two-spirit individuals. I would just like to have a moment of silence to acknowledge and remember. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're going to sign off now. Again, thank you for joining us. Take care, be well, be safe, and remember to breathe, feel your feet in your shoes. Peace, folks.